designed to derail Parliament. If the first day of the last session of the year is anything to go by, expect the two houses of Parliament to be stalled for this entire session. Expect little or no debate on legislations the government is hoping to enact. And most importantly, expect no issues of importance to you, the voter, to be raised in the House, at least when it comes to the opposition. Why? Well, the answer was provided by the Prime Minister himself, who has also had a message for his opponents. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, "The opposition should also do its duty. They should raise key issues. They should come out of the disappointment of defeat." Unfortunately, a few parties are not able to digest defeat, and therefore they are doing drama. Listen in, viewers.
ड्रामा करने के लिए जगह बहुत होती है, जिसको करना है करते रहें। यहां ड्रामा नहीं, डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए। नारे के लिए भी जितने नारे बुलवाने हैं, वो पूरा देश खाली पड़ा है। जहां पराजित होकर के आए वहां बोल चुके हो, जहां अभी पराजय के लिए जाने वाले हो वहां भी बोल दीजिए, लेकिन यहां तो नारे नहीं, नीति पर बल देना चाहिए और वो आपकी नियत होनी चाहिए। ये सत्र संसद देश के लिए क्या सोच रही है, विपक्ष भी अपना दायित्व निभाएं, चर्चा में ऐसे मुद्दे उठाएं, मजबूत मुद्दे उठाएं, पराजय के निराशा में से बाहर निकल करके आए। और दुर्भाग्य है कि एक आध दो दल तो ऐसे हैं कि वो पराजय भी नहीं पचा पाते। बिहार के नतीजे इतना समय हो गया है तो अब थोड़ा संभल गए होंगे, लेकिन कल जो मैं बयानबाजी सुन रहा हूं उनकी, तो उसे लगता है कि पराजय ने उनको परेशान करके रखा है। पराजय की बौखलाहट का वो मैदान नहीं बनना चाहिए और ये शीतकालीन सत्र विजय के अहंकार में भी परिवर्तित नहीं होना चाहिए।
Within minutes, viewers, within minutes of the Prime Minister's message, the opposition appeared to vindicate his claim by underlining how parliamentary decorum is going to the dogs, literally. A Congress member of Parliament, Renuka Chaudhary, despite established norms, brought a canine in her car to the Sansad. There you can see the pictures, viewers. And when she was called out, launched into an offensive tirade that can only provoke bad blood between the opposition and the Treasury benches. Sample what she was saying, viewers.
कौन सी प्रोटोकॉल, कहीं कानून बनी हुई है क्या? मैं रास्ते में आ रही थी, वहाँ एक स्कूटर वाला और कार वाले का टक्कर हुआ। उसके आगे ये छोटा पिल्ला निकल के सड़क पे घूम रही थी। मैंने सोचा ये किसी पहिए के नीचे आ जाएगी, मैं उठा के उसको गाड़ी में रखी और पार्लियामेंट आई और वापस भिजवा दी। गाड़ी भी गई, कुत्ता भी गई। तो किस बात की चर्चा चल रही है? असली डसने वाले और काटने वाले पार्लियामेंट में बैठे हैं, सरकार चलाते हैं, उसका कोई इतराज नहीं। हम किसी गूंगे जानवर का हम देखभाल करते हैं तो ये बड़ी मुद्दा और चर्चा बन गई। और कुछ है ही नहीं क्या सरकार के पास?
The real dogs, viewers, the real dogs, she says, are sitting in Parliament running the government, the ones that bite. Well, the dog incident proves how the opposition appears hell-bent on equating this session to token performative politics, even though its leading lights have tried to suggest that they aren't the ones lowering the level of discourse. Sample this, viewers. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has come out and said, let us discuss them, these issues. What is a parliament for? It's not drama. Speaking about and raising issues is not drama. Drama is not allowing democratic discussions about issues that matter to the people, unquote. Manikam Tagore, a member of parliament and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra's colleague, has come out and said the Election Commission has imposed a special intensive revision in a manner that is one-sided, autocratic and completely devoid of planning. There has been no discussion, no consultation with teachers, no coordination with states, and no regard for the suffering of the public, unquote. Now, viewers, is some major public service being performed by, at some level, raking the SIR up in this session? Is this the issue worth holding the House hostage? A simple answer to these questions is no. Not because we are saying that we're saying it, but because the SIR has been green flagged by no less an authority than the Supreme Court itself. The pleas to halt SIR exercises filed by opposition MPs, argued by Kapil Sibal, have been cast aside. Supreme Court says can't constrain remit of a constitutional authority. The SIR within Election Commission's mandate and discretion to conduct within the notified time frame. This is what the Supreme Court feels. Any functional deficiencies with respect to the conduct of SIR must be rectified. Time limit could be extended. So Supreme Court says, okay, even if there are problems, these things can be rectified, but we are not going to halt the SIR. Despite earlier fears of mass deletions in Bihar, no one claimed wrongful removal. All of this has been stated just about 4 days ago on the 27th of November by the Supreme Court itself. In fact, the Supreme Court has asked the opposition direct questions, viewers. It is a matter of record that in 2012 and 2014, the number of voters exceeded the total adult population. Is it not necessary to correct the electoral roll? Is one basic question that was posed by the SC bench to the opposition lawyers. If the EC has a doubt about someone's citizenship, is it not entitled to inquire about it? If the EC carries out an aggressive revision of the electoral roll, there will be deletions. So why have qualms? This is the SC bench asking these questions and making significant points. What's more, for all the abuse hurled at the Election Commission and for all the apprehensions raised against the Chief Election Commissioner's character, India's poll panel has been given a rare honor by a very important global authority. I'm not saying this, viewers. The Chief Election Commission, Gyanesh Kumar, has said, and I quote him, for the first time in its history of 37 years, the group of 37 democratic countries of the world have invited India to the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. This is a moment of immense pride for the Election Commission. If the opposition stand on making the SIR a non-negotiable, then can it answer a few questions? When the Supreme Court itself has refused to stay the SIR, what does the opposition hope to achieve by demanding a debate on it, viewers? If the opposition is linking the SIR to public interest, then can it explain why voters of Bihar rejected their call to vote out, quote, vote chor NDA, unquote? Does the people's verdict expressed through the Bihar polls in favor of the SIR and the EC's credibility not matter to the opposition? These are some fundamental questions. Let's ask them, because what we are going to have, as I told you, was this performative, disruptive band of politics which is actually holding back discourse, debate, and delivery. So, Sanjay Jha, let me ask you a simple question. The SIR has become this non-negotiable instrumentality that the opposition is willing to hold the House hostage to. They're going to do it again tomorrow outside the main Dwar. They're going to stand, try to blockade Parliament once again. Inside Parliament, there's going to be, and excuse the pun, another circus. So I have to ask you this question. If the opposition has linked the SIR to public interest, as Priyanka Gandhi Vadra says, very important issue, it should be raised and debated in the House because it's a public concern, then explain why voters of Bihar rejected the Congress's call. It's a very simple question. To vote out, vote chor NDA. It's very simple.
Good evening to you, Rahul, and good evening to all my fellow panelists on the program. First and foremost, let's be very clear that just because the NDA won the Bihar election, that is not going to stop the opposition, correctly so, from fighting for India's democracy, from improving its electoral system, for standing up for secularism, for upholding the values of democratic governance, and raising the issues of authoritarian dictates in a country that should be run on a more free-spirited culture. These are fundamental issues. They don't change because you lose one state election, surely. Here is the larger point. And please take this very seriously. I think you are perhaps trivializing this by calling it circus, etc. You have a right to kind of play around with words. The truth is there are 510 million voters, more than 50% of India's voters, who are now going to be part of the SIR exercise in the 9 states and the union territories, or the 12 state and the union territories. That's a big number. And you can see that the hurried way in which it is being executed, there are reports of deaths of BLOs. In fact, I think you should play out the video of that unfortunate Mr. Singh who died. The social media is full of that very tragic video. I can't for the life of me believe that is real. It's surreal even watching that. Here is a BLO who's dying. And what kind of a country have we become? That we're watching the death of an individual on a video, and the Election Commission and the government of India believes it does not matter because we are doing this exercise of SIR because apparently that is going to cleanse Indian politics and its electoral malpractices of all the ills. The truth is that even in Bihar,
Sanjay Jha,
there were duplicate voters. There were a number of voters in one
Sanjay
home.
Jha.
There were a number of people who were dead who were
Why
actually
wasn't
ill.
any complaint filed? If it was so apparent, what were the political parties doing? Not one complaint. The Supreme Court is asking this question, not Rahul Shiv Shankar. You know, after Bihar, was there even one suicide of any BLO? As many number of voters as in Bengal, the BLOs did not seem to have a problem going from house to house. In fact, viewers, one BLO only has to cover at best 1,000 voters. And he has to do this over 20 days. Now there's an extension. And all he has to do, viewers, and do the math yourself. How many does that put it? And he gets paid, or she gets paid. Not one BLO death in Bihar. Not one complaint. Viewers
Are you
from the
saying that
opposition.
these deaths are fake or
I'm
they
not saying
exaggerated?
anything. I'm only asking
I
questions.
mean, they are on record.
I'm not assuming anything. I'm saying, sir, if it is, I mean, you accused various people of trivializing, of being apathetic. I mean, are you suggesting the Supreme Court is becoming an accomplice in what you call is dictatorial, authoritarian Raj by a couple of entities that are leading people to kill themselves? Would you go that far? I mean, the matter is before the Supreme Court, sir. Nothing has been done by the Supreme Court to stall this insensitive exercise. That's what I'm saying.
But Rahul, here is the point.
We're not
Here is the
speaking in a
point.
vacuum, sir.
No, but this is a very germane point that we should not miss. We can't miss the woods for the trees, okay?
No, we are not
The
missing. I'm
Election
asking the
Commission-
woods are
One minute,
right
one
now.
minute. The constitution of the Election Commission at the very beginning told you, Rahul, the political intent of this government.
Listen, we've
When
come
they-
a
one
long
minute.
way since
When
the
they
time when the
included
election
Amit Shah as a
commission.
minister
No, one
over the
election
Chief Justice of
commissioner
India.
was appointed by one government, and that was the Congress government with no consultation across the board. We've come. Look, I have a problem with the manner in which the election commissioner is appointed. Yes, I do also believe that maybe somebody else independent of the government should be, like a Supreme Court Chief Justice of India.
Yeah.
But there are many questions, viewers, because the CJI himself picks himself. So who is he to stand and give people a moral lecture about how selection should be done if they have to be impartial? So let's put it all in context.
Tell me,
My
why
point
is the
is, no, you're
election
changing the
commissioner
goalposts. So now
saved
it's about selection
from a
of
legal
the
proceeding?
election commission. No, 1 second.
Why
Let me
is he
open this
being
up.
sandbagged against a legal
Listen,
proceeding?
listen,
Why?
Mr. Jha.
Why is the
Mr.
CEC
Jha,
being
Mr.
protected?
Jha,
Why?
Mr. Jha, 1 minute. Let's
Why
not
is the
clutch at
CCTV
straws.
footage removed
Let's not clutch at
after
straws. We are
45
jumping
days?
from one goalpost to the other.
These are all
You are
important
changing
factors.
the goalpost even faster than Maradona does. Look, it's very simple. You started by saying that this is an insensitive exercise. We should not trivialize the deaths of the
Yeah.
BLOs. Agreed?
Yes.
We should not.
Yes.
But the matter is before the Supreme Court. Is the Supreme Court trivializing them by not staying the SIR? There are petitions after petitions. 3 states have landed before the Supreme Court. They're going to be heard individually. The Supreme
Yes.
Court has not stepped in. In fact, what the Supreme Court has said, and that's why I prepared those graphics, viewers, I said very clearly that the Supreme Court has said, if there are any functional deficiencies with respect to the conduct of the SIR, they must be rectified. They've issued that directive. And if they feel that that directive is not been followed, they will step in. But so far, they have not seen the need to do so, viewers. And it's not Rahul Shivshankar who's trivializing it. Ask the Supreme Court. Point fingers at the Supreme Court, number one. Most importantly, viewers.
No, we are questioning the
you
Supreme
keep
Court.
saying that, oh, the electoral rolls were fiddled in Bihar. It was so apparent. If it was so apparent, file a complaint. Not one complaint. The Supreme Court itself is asking. And this is exactly what it is saying. If EC has a doubt about someone's citizenship, is it not entitled to inquire about it? If EC carries out an aggressive revision of the electoral roll, there will be deletions. So what's the big idea? Then, in a matter of record that in 2012 and 2014, the number of voters exceeded the total adult population. So clearly, viewers, there are ghost voters sitting on our electoral rolls that need to be expunged. Can we say in 2003 it was okay and not in 2025? I mean, that's an arbitrary
But Rahul, by
line
that
we draw.
logic, the Lok
Let's
Sabha
open it.
voting was wrong, right?
No, I'm
because
not
the
saying that
electors
at all.
who voted in Lok Sabha.
Bhai, if there were so many problems and they were so apparent, why didn't the Congress step forth and file a complaint? This is not Rahul that's asking the question, it's the
But it is
Supreme
because
Court.
of our complaint that the 65 lakh deleted voters were made public.
Oh,
It is
please,
because
sir,
of
please,
us that
please.
Aadhaar was accepted as
Now,
an
one second,
instrument.
let's open this up.
for-
Varun
for
Kumar,
confirming
Rohan Gupta are
voting
there.
rights.
Okay, let's get the other side. Rohan Gupta, BJP national spokesperson, respond to Mr. Jha on the points. Look, fundamentally, viewers, you bring a dog to parliament, you create this hoopla and circus, you create a diversion, you make it seem as if the opposition is really only interested in theatrics, and then you want the whole nation to take you seriously. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, Mr. Rohan Gupta, I think Mr. Jha raised a couple of points. Would you like to respond to him? A, that the entire selection process of the CEC is goosed. One. Number two, most importantly, he says that, look, these BLOs are dying. We need to be redressing this.
Rahul, first of all, it is a failed effort by opposition parties to divert attention from their defeat in Bihar. See, it is their compulsion. The way I see political thing, it is their compulsion because they have to convince their cadre and so much, whoever voted for them, that no, we have not been defeated. We have been defeated because of vote chori. Because of that, they are trying to do this in parliament when everybody knows that what they are doing is not correct. Mr. Sanjay Jha is a good friend, but he is not able to answer whether Congress party is against the idea of SIR, against the process of SIR, or against the timeline of SIR. If you are against the idea of SIR, you have gone to Supreme Court. Supreme Court has clearly told that, no, we want to continue SIR. And the complete process of SIR was monitored by Supreme Court in Bihar. After that, Congress party and all Mahagathbandhan parties have fought election. Before the day of results, they were claiming that since the voting has increased, they are going to win. After the result against, they are blaming SIR. So the idea is very clear. Their intention is very clear that if they are getting defeated, they will blame SIR. If you are against the process, Supreme Court has clearly told, and you have rightly mentioned that there can be improvements done. And again, coming to Mr. Rahul Gandhi, what he was telling to conduct SIR in order to ensure that there are no anomalies on voter list. Now, if anybody who is against the vote chori, he cannot oppose SIR. Again, I am repeating my statement. Anybody under the sun, if he is against the vote chori, he will not question SIR. Then you are questioning Mr. Rahul Gandhi, Sanjay. If you are questioning SIR, you are questioning Rahul Gandhi because that is what he wanted. So point here is very clear, Rahul. They knew that in parliament, this is the opportunity for them. तो उनको जो अपना face saving होता है, they tried to do that effort again and again in all parliamentary sessions. And you have seen this,
Mr. Jha, would you like to respond very quickly?
Yeah.
Face savers, you're looking for straws in the wind.
No, I'm glad we're having a very mature conversation on a sensitive subject. Rohan, I don't think anybody from the opposition has said in a very way to correct which ought to be the right way.
Sir, you've gone to the Supreme Court saying halt it.
One minute. Everyone has agreed that the SIR could be the right process to correct all the fault lines in the voter rolls. The problem is the way it is being executed, the way some people are being disenfranchised, the way some voters are being deleted, the way you
What?
made this whole fear mongering over Ghuspetiyas in Bihar and they ended it to be not even in hundreds. There is an attempt by the Election Commission to basically, I would say, create impediments in terms of disclosure and acceptance to be a voter.
Okay.
Look at 140 million migrants in India
One
who are
second.
going to be in deep trouble because they have to move from
Okay.
one place to another to be
Right,
the
Rahul,
voter.
right.
small-
All of
small-
these things are apparent to Sanjay Jha, not to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has not halted the SIR despite 4 interventions on 4 separate dates. The last time the order was passed, as I told you viewers, was 4 days ago. 27th of November. I'm not making these facts up. Look it up on Google. Headlines देख
Rahul.
लीजिए उस अगले दिन papers के on the 28th. Read the papers, viewers. It's front page news. Questions were being asked of the opposition. Very quickly, Mr. Gupta, I want to open it up. Yes.
So Rahul, I think our friend Sanjay, normally he's a logical person, but look how supporting Congress party has made him change goalposts like more than Maradona. He's against shifting. Now he's saying that no, he's not against SIR. He's against the process. If the process is wrong, then how SIR is wrong? See, Sanjay,
Without
you
the
need to,
process,
you cannot
SIR
defend
is a joke,
something is
right, Rohan?
undefendable. Please, let me complete. When you are saying that
The
65
process
lakh
is
voters,
fundamental.
you had Congress party had 1 month to go to election commission, and I'm telling you on national television that out of these 65 lakhs voters, Congress party could not go and prove that one voter is who is eligible
Well,
and who is could not.
That is
Then what are you
actually,
talking?
that
what
is at
for
the
you?
heart of this entire debate. You've got problems, you seem to find them 6, 8, 10 months later, but when the time is given to you, you don't seem to be able to find even one. Now, Mr. Bhattacharya, let me bring you in. Yes, gentlemen, I'll just bring you all in. Mr. Bhattacharya, who's a sympathizer of the TMC, joining me, I think, from Kolkata, right? Now, Mr. Bhattacharya, I have to ask you a very simple question, and this is a question that I have put out and framed. Bihar was an election. Elections are usually referendums. They're referendums on the performance of the government and the strength of the message that the opposition is putting out there for public consideration. The opposition said we've got to stop the NDA because it is stealing your vote. They said the same thing
Okay.
a few months ago. There was a build-up. There were even long rallies, so the message was taken to the last person during the time when SIR was being conducted. So people were aware of what was happening. That message was ingloriously rejected. 200 plus seats is what the people of Bihar gave the NDA. Congress its lowest score. The people have answered and spoken. Your leader constantly talks about validation from the people. Why do you deny the people their voice in Bihar? They have spoken.
Okay, Rahul. So, such a big question. So, I hope that I have enough time to answer it as well. So, let me start with it. So, if you say that winning an election is basically the validation of SIR becoming fair and free and neutral, so that means that winning an election for TMC will mean that the narrative of Sandesh Khali was completely, that was false and that was a complete conspiracy, so that you believe it. So all the narratives that was built earlier 2024, when we actually had more seats than the BJP over there, where the TMC performed much better, that means it validates that all the previous narratives said by the BJP were fake, were false, and it was completely a conspiracy against TMC. Number one. That is what you say. And next is, if we win 2026 election as well, so that will validate that we were quite correct about SIR as well. Winning an election, if that validates every reason to fight, every, the narrative we built, then good enough. I think then everything we should be waiting for the next election as well for the TMC to perform and to come out with their election results only.
Yes.
But this is just like saying, see, we have the 2 umpires working for us. Rest you perform at your best. Rest you perform at your best. But we'll be having the 2 umpires playing for us. That
Okay.
is the how.
So
the entire
viewers,
game has
this
been
is
set for
Abhishek
BJP.
Banerjee
You go
After
to the parliament,
bypolls.
you have
Okay,
the same
now Mr.
pitch.
Bhattacharya, you
go
said
to
that it would be the same as the TMC claiming vindication. So yes, after the bypolls, the TMC came out and said, I bow before the people, and this is Abhishek Banerjee I'm quoting, I bow before the people of West Bengal for democratically dismantling the Bangla Birodhis, their fake narratives and reaffirming their trust in us. And he goes on to say, and listen to this.
Of course.
So you can claim when you are accused of...
Of course.
so that's what I'm saying. So when you win an election,
I tell you how.
One second. You said you said to me.
Take the reply.
One second.
Have patience to take the reply.
One second, Mr. Shubhankar Bhattacharya. I just want to set the record straight for our viewers. Shubhankar Bhattacharya said that if an election victory washes all sins, then you will say that the TMC has washed away all its sins because it keeps winning elections. So I pointed out, viewers, how the TMC comes out after every election victory and says all our sins have been washed. Thank you for validating us and killing the fake narrative of the opposition. So when TMC wins in Bengal, it says the opposition's narrative has been defeated, BJP's narrative has been defeated. But when it comes to viewers accepting the people's verdict in Bihar, they say, no, this is not acceptable. What is this? These are facts, viewers. I'm just presenting to you the arguments that are made by the TMC. This gentleman has just shot himself in the foot.
Well, viewers, can I come up now? Rahul,
No, what are you going to say?
Okay, so the viewers who actually Rahul was addressing till now, I would request you to just go through it. That are the Mojumdars who were detected, because the Home Minister had said that SIR is all about...
Sir, we can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say in Bengal that we are vindicated every time we win and the opposition's fake narratives have been killed by the people and their faith in us. But in Bihar, it doesn't work that way.
This is not done.
I mean, come on.
This is not done. Rahul, you don't interrupt people from BJP. Why do you interrupt us?
I have not interrupted.
This is not
done. I have not interrupted you.
Give us the fair play field as well. Allow me to answer at least.
I don't know what you're answering because I haven't asked the question.
You can always go against me. You can actually...
Go ahead.
See, if you continue to interrupt, what's the sense of calling me over here? And,
Go ahead, sir.
I'm just asking you that the people detected as Bangladeshis from Delhi were found to be Mojumdars and Mukherjees, right? And what was said by the local leader of Delhi? They said that Bangla is the language of Bangladesh.
So why are you changing the goalposts? Let's talk about the SIR. The SIR has not been stored by the Supreme Court. Do you accept this fact or not? Sir, do you accept the fact that, Mr. Bhattacharya, do you accept the fact that the Supreme Court has not stalled the SIR? Yes or no? Is there a simple answer to that question?
Oh, it is still, I think Abhishek Manu Singhvi has put up a wonderful fight over there. I have gone
But he hasn't won a reprieve. Anyhow, let me just open this up. Mr. Gupta, how do you respond to Mr. Bhattacharya? How do you respond to him? Tushar Gupta.
The shifting goalposts, Rahul, warrant a lot of fact checks. Now, everyone is talking about the SIR, everyone is saying how unconstitutional it is. But the problem is no one today can cite an article in the Constitution, a law, or any rule that says SIR is unconstitutional. Mr. Jha said SIR is not a problem. The fundamental process is a problem. August to September, during the Bihar SIR, the parties were given 1 month window to contest any discrepancies in the draft rolls that were published before even the campaigning for the assembly polls properly began. Not a single party was contesting any electoral list. There were not any, questions related to Form 6, Form 7 or Form 8. So where does the question of discrediting the process really comes from? I don't know. Number two, they talk about the ECI appointments. They say that the Election Commissioner of India is an empire that favors the BJP. Have they not heard of Article 324? Have they not heard of the March 2023 judgment where the Supreme Court directed the center to enact a law over how the choice of an election commission could be made? And didn't the parliament come up with a law which was about the Chief Electoral Commission and other Commissioners Act 2023? It was very simple. Earlier, you had the president selecting the Chief Election Commissioner on the advice of the Union Council of Ministers. So essentially, it was the decision of the Prime Minister. Today, you have the opposition leader also a stakeholder in it. Number three, we are talking about the Lok Sabha results now that SR is in. So are all the previous election results just, a failure or what? Rahul, every year, and I say this, every year the special summary revision happens. Every year the draft rolls are updated. Does that mean the election that happened the previous year becomes inconsequential or incorrect? Absolutely not. SSR happens every year. SIR, meanwhile, is the prerogative of the Election Commission of India wherever they can conduct it. And that is what also the Supreme Court has said. And finally, Rahul, I'm also disappointed today in the security forces at the parliament. Bringing a stray dog is clearly against the laws. In the parliament complex, only the security dogs are allowed and dogs which have been sort of accredited for security purposes. You cannot get in strays there. There are proper rules and regulations against it. But I don't know how her car made it to the parliament complex. Rahul, my problem is,
and you see what was said.
Session, no, Rahul, 1 second. The problem is every parliament session. No, Sanjay, there's a law against it. Let's talk about the security
For God's
of
sake, let's have compassion for stray dogs,
Rahul. No, you cannot.
How can you be so cruel and callous?
Security
Sir,
of our
there are
lawmakers
cows also.
Callous.
Tomorrow you'll bring
Compassion for
cows, you'll
strays.
bring donkeys, you'll bring
Come on.
monkeys, you'll
No,
bring everything
no,
to the
no,
parliament.
no.
Why don't you
Let's-
open a
let's be
veterinarian
clear.
shop there
46%
also?
of
No.
MPs are criminals.
Okay,
We
one
should be
second.
more worried
One
about
second,
that.
one second.
No,
Look, I don't want to.
46%
Look,
of
I know
MPs are
viewers, there are
criminals.
channels
And the
in this
majority in the
country.
BJP.
No, 1 minute. Let me just step in here.
No,
I know
no.
that there are media houses in this country that are focusing viewers on this dog issue. I know why it's being done. To distract, to deviate from the cause, this,
No,
that.
no.
But we're not going down that route. 1 second, Tushar
No.
Gupta. 1 second. I understand
So
what you're saying.
unfortunate.
It's a massive security slip, and you can't
Yes.
brazen it out. You cannot brazen it out. I want to bring in the TDP leader, the national spokesperson of the Telugu Desam party, Mr. Varun Kumarji. Mr. Varun Kumarji, thank you for your patience. I want you to ask you a simple question. You are being accused, your government is being accused, the NDA is being accused of having no compassion for BLOs and so forth. How do you respond to these people? You're an ally. You're not an unconditional supporter of the BJP. So tell me, sir, give me your perspective.
Thank you, Rahul ji, and namaste to every one of you. I want to raise one fundamental question in this whole SIR concept. What is not being discussed in this SIR is the rightful and respect to the honest voter of this country. Irrespective of whatever parties you belong to, all panelists sitting here today are voters of this nation. What connects us commonly as people today is the citizenship and the voting right of this country, right? So where is the honesty of the respectful and rightful owner being snatched away? If there is no SIR, if me as a honest voter wants to share a vote, a right to vote to any person who is an illegal immigrant in this country and who doesn't have a right to vote, is my honor not being affected, Rahulji, today? I want to raise the voice on behalf of the rightful owner of the vote. This country by birth has given me the constitutional right to vote and elect any party to power, right? So where is that honest voters thing going on today? We are discussing about the procedures, the rules, the Supreme Court mandates, etc. Fine with all the technicalities. But what is happening to that right of the vote? The person who is rightfully owner to vote in this country is being given the same right of a person who is an illegal immigrant in this nation. Are me and him the same? Doesn't this question come to a voter, a common voter who cannot come to this platform to ask questions, a common voter who cannot go to the EC and stand in a queue and form a Form 6 or a Form 7, a common voter who cannot raise his voice in media houses in parliament? Where is that happening? No. SIR is essential for me to revoke my rights as an honest voter. If you are not giving SIR, if you give the same voting right to a person who is not who is an illegal immigrant or who doesn't have a right to vote in this nation, where is my honesty being
Can I
gone
answer
today?
him?
No, 1 second. I did not interrupt while you were speaking, gentlemen. Let me answer this. I want to talk about that. And opposition parties devoid of matters in this country today. So they only raise SIR because of the political
Politics.
defeat they have.
Vote
Losing
bank
state
politics,
after
is
state
it?
after state after state. Finally, they have lost their state of mind. Yes.
Well,
Losing
viewers, let me
state
say
after
one
state
thing.
after state,
This
Rahulji, they have lost their state of mind.
Okay, this matter is being heard by the Supreme Court. Let's leave it to the wisdom of the Supreme Court. since none of us can agree on even the baseline, I'm sure Mr. Sanjay Jha and others would agree, if the matter is before the supreme arbiter of this country, let the supreme arbiter come in. The supreme arbiter, remember viewers, has not let down the Bihar voters, even in Bihar. In Bihar, it actually set down a bunch of guidelines, if you remember, for how the SIR should be conducted. So if there is a problem, and the Supreme Court has come out and already said that if there is a deficiency in the process, we will step in. So if the opposition has a strong enough case, if the opposition can adduce the facts, if the opposition has the facts, then viewers, the Supreme Court will definitely intercede on behalf of the opposition to guardrail this
Rahulji,
process.
finally,
Very
one
quickly,
point,
yes, sir.
finally,
Very quickly.
Rahulji.
Yeah, very quickly. Sir,
One point,
I need to move
Rahul.
on. Yeah.
One point. See, the problem with India alliances, they are only focused on alliance, but not on allegiance towards the constitution. If they bear only 1% of allegiance towards the constitution, things would have not been so dramatic as it was today in the parliament.
Look,
Bringing it
I
down
mean,
to the parliament,
everyone has a right, viewers, to raise issues, but not beyond.
Yes.
But not beyond.
Yes.
But not beyond unreasonableness. You can't
MPs
say.
have the-
We can't say.
Opposition parties
one
have the
second.
right.
You can't say that
have
the
right to
parliament
protest
now
against
must
the-
start
Say
discussing.
this to the family of BLOs.
Okay, one second. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Say
of course.
this to the family of BLOs.
I'm sure you will speak up on behalf of the BLOs in front of the Supreme Court. You're going to get an opportunity in the next 3 days. You know this. Bengal is going to be heard independently by
hope
the
so.
Supreme Court. A special case has been made. All cases, all states will be heard separately. There's no confusion. You will get your opportunity. I hope, sir, Mr. Bhattacharya, you come as well prepared in court as you have come today for this debate. I'll leave it at this, viewers. I want to move on. I want to move on to a very, very piquant story, but not an unsurprising one. Pakistan, which has a long history of deceit and double dealing, used the prestigious Oxford Union debate platform to stage a drama and claim victory against the Indian side. A look at the details of how participants were invited and the information passed on reveals that the debate was never meant to be conducted at all. The Oxford Union debate is an open intellectual dialogue, but the drama behind the motion, and the motion was also strange, viewers. It said, this House believes that India's policy towards Pakistan is a populist strategy sold as security policy. This theme has now been exposed by Indian participants as a stunt orchestrated by Musa Haraj, who is the chief of the Oxford Union. One of the members of the Indian team, senior advocate of the Supreme Court, J. Deepak, pointed out that 3 hours before the debate dinner, he received a call from the union informing him that the debate had been cancelled because the Pakistani side hadn't arrived in the United Kingdom. Deepak was furious, as were his teammates, Manu Khajuria and Pandit Satish Sharma. After all, a lot of preparation had gone into building a case against the motion. But it turns out that the organizers were lying, that the Pakistan team had in fact arrived and were holed up in a hotel nearby in Oxford or some other place very close by. Former Foreign Minister Hina Rabani Khar, Mohammad Faisal, the country's envoy to the UK, Zubair Mahmood Hayat, former army general, all holed up in this hotel, not daring to come out and going to the venue. While the Pak team was lying low and ducking the encounter, the Pakistan High Commissioner in the UK slyly puts out an ex-post claiming that the Indian delegation withdrew at the last moment, lacking confidence, even without an iota of proof. J. Deepak, in fact, went on air almost immediately contradicting the Pakistani claim, saying that the Indian debating team were in Oxford and that they were ready to debate there and then. He said, let's have it out. Here's what J. Deepak told me a day or so back. Listen in, viewers, very quickly, and I want to open this up.
I landed yesterday in the morning. At around 3:15 or so, I get a call from a member of the union to suddenly tell me that the Pakistanis have not landed and therefore the debate with them is called off. And that if we were comfortable, we could come to Oxford and have a discussion with the students. I said I didn't travel all the way here to have a discussion with the students. I did this in June earlier this year. So the idea was to debate the Pakistanis. So if they've not come, there's no point in me traveling all the way again from London to Oxford. So I stayed back. Then I shot a stinker of an email to the president of the Oxford Union. His name is Musa Haraj, and turns out that he is the son of the former or perhaps the present Minister of Defense Production in Pakistan, Mohammad Raja, I think Hayat Hiraj, whatever that name is. And turns out that the treasurer of the Oxford Union is also a Pakistani. So I think I think you get the picture. So he calls me and he apologizes and he tells me that around at 10 a.m. in the morning yesterday, he got a call from the Pakistani delegation that they were not in a position to make it. I said, if that were the case, I'm sure you'd have known of this at least the night before. You could have told me before I boarded the flight to London. He said, I'm sorry, even I was not aware. Within minutes of the conversation, which happened at about 4:55 p.m. in the evening, the Pakistan High Commission starts putting out tweets basically saying that the Pakistani team has won because of a walkover, because nobody turned up for India. And apparently
Well, there you are, viewers. There you are. Let's get the whole story in its fullest detail from the Indian contestants and decode how Pakistan faked a debate win that never was. Let's open this up to Manu Khajuria. We've heard from, of course, J-Sai Deepak. Manu Khajuria, author and activist, are here with us. Pandit Satish Sharma, another author, renowned author, and someone who is a theologian, is here with us. Rashmi Samant, an activist, has always been part of the Oxford and of course, experienced something that only she did, and she has shared it very widely with us, and it was a terrible, terrible travesty visited upon her. There's intrinsic bias there. But let me first come out to you, Pandit Satish Sharma ji. What exactly has transpired here? What really is the nub of this issue?
Namaste ji, Jai Shri Ram. Wonderful opportunity to just clarify some of the confusion that has been created around this issue. It's actually relatively straightforward. We have a group of students who wanted to host a debate which they thought would bring a lot of attention to their, I would say, to their term in office, and really started to reach out to people who are prominent and probably beyond the capacity of the board to control. The shambolic way, right from July when all of this started, right the way through, step by step, is indicative that there are serious problems with the people who are trying to organize these events. But we put that to one side. This is a student organization, and you can't expect high standards. You have to be accommodating. So when Sai Deepakji gave me a call and said, Panditji, would you like to step into this space? I looked at the motion, and I thought, this is a fantastic motion. This is, although it's biased, it tries to create a straw man even out of the starting blocks. It's a great motion because it will give us an opportunity to really tear down the arguments that are being put forward and to demolish any possible defense that the opposition would put into place. I have a suspicion that what actually happened at some point in time was that the opposition realized how vulnerable they were going to be. I think they came to understand that when people of Sai Deepakji's caliber, Manuji's caliber, are going to be challenging them on this basis, they were going to be humiliated and embarrassed on an international stage. Now, that would be okay because these things happen normally in student debates. It's not a big thing. This is a bunch of students in cosplay attitude trying to explore some of these issues. And it should have just come and gone if everybody had acted in good faith, and it would have been an opportunity to celebrate with each other, to enjoy the fact that we've had this engagement. But no, the Pakistan High Commission leapt in and I think took control of what they thought was an opportunity to diminish the Indian reputation internationally and to work out some sort of underhanded way whereby they could secure a victory. I think that's the logical conclusion that we've all come to. And it reeks of desperation, doesn't it?
It does, but many people will say that, look, previous invites, Manu Khajuria, previous invites from the Oxford Union to certain other notables in India have gone unresponded because we know that the deck is sort of stacked against us. So why be part of something that is not inherently going to be fair?
Namaste, Rahul. I think the particular debate or the motion that you're referring to is something that was going to take place on, or took place rather, on November 14th, 2024. And the motion was that Kashmir should become an independent state, to which very rightly my friends Aditya Raj Kaul and Vivek Agnihotri and others had refused to come and participate. But this particular debate, as Satish Ji is pointing out, was pretty pretty much a simple debate, a motion we could have very easily risen up against. And we went in good faith, that the Oxford Union, once upon a time, a very respectable, prestigious and influential debating society, is in the hope that it would allow for a fair debate and we would stand up and put India's point across. And of course, myself and Satish ji were the last minute entries, and we had Jai Sai Deepak, and like the troopers that we are, we decided to go because this was a straightforward debate. Now, the two things here, I would say, Rahul, are first that the desperation, as Satish ji said, of the Pakistani High Commission to use the Oxford Union as a proxy to peddle its false narratives and do it so sneakily. And as later, after your interview with Jai Sai Deepak, in fact, we noticed the timestamps. So the Pakistani High Commission and the Pakistani media had claimed victory in this debate even before we were informed that the Pakistani contingent has not flown in, and hence the debate cannot go forward as planned. So they were not even clever enough to do this in an intelligent or rather watertight manner. They did this even before we were informed, and we dropped the idea saying that, okay, the Pakistani contingent are not here. So first of all, the desperation of the Pakistani state to use the union as the proxy. And secondly, the state of the Oxford Union itself. The fact that under the tenure of its Pakistani president, it's taken its credibility, its prestige has taken a serious beating, where no confidence motions have happened, where the funders and donors of the Oxford Union have backed out. There have been so many controversies, and it's happened under the tenure of this Pakistani president.
So it's very interesting because I want to bring in Rashmi Samant. Rashmi Samant, shouldn't Oxford College, I don't know, is there somebody who sort of oversees this union? Should they not step up and say, given the fact that the Pakistani High Commission has stepped in, so they've made this, a governmental issue, should not somebody from the British government or someone now look at this? Because clearly you're letting a country get away with a smear campaign.
Well, Rahul, I think the very country that you're talking about, there are lots of Pakistani origin members of parliament in the current government. So I think that is also going to be very difficult because the Pakistani origin people have been very artistic in the way that they've infiltrated multiple institutions. I want to add, as a lifetime member of the Oxford Union, I'm privy to past controversies, and the past controversies have occurred under the tenure of Pakistani origin presidents, going on to show how the Pakistani High Commission has repeatedly tried to use the Oxford Union to carry out its agenda in the UK and in the Western world as a form of building narrative. In June 2022, Ahmed Nawaz, another Pakistani origin student at the Oxford University, was elected president. And he was the second person of Pakistani origin to be ever elected president after Benazir Bhutto. And months after, days, in fact, after he was elected, controversy erupted, and actually he was removed. Nawaz was forced out by the membership, not just for technical violation, but for consistent abuse of process, absenteeism, and attempts to subvert democratic norms. This is written down, and it's been covered properly by student newspapers.
So are you saying there's a correlation between when a Pakistani takes over the Oxford Union and falling standards or allowances such as this?
Absolutely, Rahul.
Okay.
And there is a direct correlation between the Pakistani regime and the Oxford Union, because when Ahmed Nawaz was elected president, Imran Khan tweeted in support saying this was a big moment for Pakistan and so on and so forth, showing how intricately these two things are connected.
Okay, so
anytime an Indian origin is elected anywhere, you don't see the Indian regime trying to try to hitch on the bandwagon.
The Indian government never, yes. I mean,
never does that.
So clearly it matters a lot more to the Pakistanis viewers to tom-tom any little brush with recognition in any spot of the world, even if it's as trivial as somebody taking over as the president or what have you, or the chair of the Oxford Union. But given the fact that the government there in Pakistan has made this an issue and has tried to sort of link this with India's own image, I think the British government should step in and they should issue some sort of a clarification and put the subject to rest. I really do believe that that's what is required. I leave it at this, viewers. I just want to move on because there's a very important story, and thank you very much. I just want to move on, viewers, because there's a very, very important story that concerns each one of us, aviation safety. An unprecedented admission in Parliament, the NDA government has officially confirmed instances of GPS spoofing. This is not simple jamming, but a dangerous manipulation of satellite signals detected at some of India's busiest airports, from Delhi to Chennai. Spoofing is when signals interfere with cockpit instruments and begin lying to pilots. When runway approaches become vulnerable to hostile interference, every second then begins to count. So you will not know where the runway is. You'll align wrongly with what you believe. Your instruments are telling you it will lead to a catastrophe. You could even crash into another jet, viewers. You could be infiltrating or impinging upon the other flight path of another jet. It can lead to catastrophic consequences. And the NDA has come out and said flights reported GPS spoofing in the vicinity of the Indira Gandhi International Airport in New Delhi while using GPS-based landing procedures while approaching on runway 10. Contingency procedures were used. GNSS interference reports also from other major airports, and they've also been listed, viewers, from Chennai, Bengaluru, all the major airports in the country. The government has earlier already placed airlines on heightened alert, with the DGCA directives now demanding real-time reporting of any abnormal GPS behavior. On the 12th of November, just about 20 days ago, any pilot, the government notification said, any pilot, ATC controller or technical unit detecting abnormal GPS behavior, example, position anomalies, navigation errors, loss of GNSS, signal integrity or spoofed location data, shall initiate real-time reporting within 10 minutes of occurrence. This is not a theoretical risk. It's a clear and present threat to aviation safety that poses some questions. And I want to ask those questions of our guests. Let's go straight across to some of those top pilots who join us. And I don't even need to introduce them anymore. They've become household names. But Group Captain Vinod is here with us. Group Captain, this is a very, very serious matter, isn't it? Because many people have suggested that you could trigger an catastrophic, Dadri-like crash between two planes and then use it to blame the government and the authorities and create all sorts of chaos in the country.
While it is theoretically possible, Rahul, let me demystify so that our viewers aren't A, alarmed, B, understand how the technology works. Now, let me straight away dive into the loose word that we keep using as GPS. GPS is a word like Xerox. Actually, one of the photocopier is Xerox. So GPS is the American system called the GNSS, which you used, Global Navigation Satellite System. GPS is one of them. Vedu is another. GLONASS is Russian. We also have our own homegrown, which is like the regional system called the NAVIC. And we have something called a space-based augmentation system, which looks at all the other systems and gives you an error correction signal called the SBAS, the space-based augmentation system, which in our case is Gagan. Also, in Airbus, I know for sure, we have something called an ABAS, an aircraft-based augmentation system. Now, people need to understand what is GNSS. All these satellites put together, it gives you your positional accuracy, or it gives you your positional information. Now, why do you need this positional information from satellite? Because it is more accurate. About a decade and a half or 2 decades ago, Rahul, we used something called an INS, Inertial Navigation System.
Yes.
Now, Inertial Navigation System suffered an error over time, as in you may start off with a 0 error, 1 hour, 2 hours down the road, it was a cumulative error unless you updated. Lo and behold, here comes the Global Navigation System, which realigns your INS. So your INS is back to error 0, and it is doing every now and then. You correctly brought out aeroplanes which are dependent on the GNSS for approach and landing. We call it the RNP approach, Required Navigation Performance Approach, in which we solely use the satellite-based system. In some, we depart on a satellite-based system, we arrive and capture the instrument landing system on a satellite-based system. You understanding what I'm saying? Whereas an aeroplane which has an ABAS, I'll give you an example a couple of days ago. An ABAS, what it does is, it does three things, Rahul. One, it always checks on itself, called the RAIM, Receiver Autonomous Integrity Monitoring. Secondly, the INS system and this GPS system are correlated with each other. And when the correlation goes off track, it tells you GPS primary lost. And the third and the most, Rahul, I'll quickly finish. The third and the most important thing is, at all times, it keeps measuring each other's accuracy. So as far as the Airbus is concerned, there is no problem. Why is the two things we need to understand? Jamming, spoofing. Jamming, you jam the signal. Spoof, you fool the signal. The latter is more dangerous.
More dangerous. So let me bring in Sanjay Leza, aviation expert. Sanjay ji, do Indian airports have adequate non-GPS backup systems to safely sort of manage spoofing-induced disorientation? And most importantly, do you think this current DGCA reporting protocol within 10 minutes is sufficient?
Thanks for having me, Rahul. Of course, Wing Commander Augustine has rightfully pointed out the nitty-gritty of GPS spoofing as well as GNS. It's very important to note here that this typically happens around regions which have conflict. So we see it over the Ukraine, Russia, we see it over Iran, we see it in some parts of Siberia. We've always seen this as something that has been done to prevent, opposition aircrafts from seeing each other. This is the first time we are seeing it actually within India, within our cities, in our airports. Okay, we've seen it flying over Pakistan a couple of years ago, and many were reported. We're seeing a lot of this activity at the major airports. And I don't know if, of course, pilots always have manual, if the ILS is there, they use that. Otherwise, to avoid GPS spoofing, multi-layered approach is necessary. Something that's known as CRPA, Controlled Reception Path Antennas, where they rely on ATC and ground-based navigation aids. Now, I do understand also that from, reports that there is a government committee headed by Mr. Doval, which is looking into these incidents of the last 1 month, where they've been involved with GPS spoofings in Indian aircrafts. But I still think that we need to arm ourselves a little stronger, because I'm not saying this is, but it could be some kind of a cyber warfare, or
So from where would this be originating, Mr. Leza? Where would this be originating from?
It's I think Wing Commander Augustine wants to say something, but I maybe he would have a better idea. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm concerned that it could be within our country.
Okay.
Because otherwise, somebody from outside our country impregnating our own defenses and our own electronic
is difficult. Okay, so let me ask the Wing Commander, what's your best guess? I mean, this is very alarming.
Absolutely. In fact, I happened to be the one who tested out, when I was in uniform, these spoofers for the Air Force. So I'll tell you what is there in the open source, so that we are not revealing too much. But the fact remains, why do we need a spoofer is the question, Rahul. There's something called a JEDAM, which Trump went and dished out to all and sundry. It is the Joint Direct Attack Munition, which uses purely GNSS signal to come and hit you. It is silent.
Okay.
It doesn't require any mother aircraft talking. So, like Captain Lazar said, we spoof so that enemy bombs don't come and hit you.
Yeah.
As simple as that. But the question, Rahul, is even you today can go on Amazon, buy a few equipment which I can probably WhatsApp you.
So are you suggesting that it is as easy as that? Let's not talk about this procedure, because I don't want to give ideas to anybody. But fundamentally, viewers, this is a clear and present danger. We really need to start building capacities to resist. And I think Sanjay Lezar and I think both the Wing Commander don't want to alarm anybody, but I think this really requires attention. We leave it at this. Really run out of time today, viewers. Palki Sharma Upadhyay coming up with the Vantage.
because News all-new Hyundai Venue. Tech up, go beyond.
Finessa Windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find finer Finesta. Stay ahead with News 18. News from your city in your language. Real-time updates, in-depth analysis, and breaking news. Anytime, anywhere. Only on the News 18 app. Scan and download the News 18 app now.
Finessa Windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find finer Finesta. The all-new Hyundai Venue. Tech up, go beyond.
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
The all-new Hyundai Venue. Tech up, go beyond.
Finessa Windows, beautiful and durable designs. इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
Find finer Finesta.
सल्यूट है जी, आप देश की रक्षा में जान लगा देते हैं और आप घर घर में तार लगाते हैं जी। ई बीम टेक्नोलॉजी से बनी, न जले न पिघले, सबकी रक्षा करे।
हम सरहद पर लोगों की रक्षा करते हैं और आप देश के अंदर। सल्यूट तो बनता है जी।
अपार अणुशक्ति फायर प्रोटेक्ट वायर, अपार देश का तार।
पैसा लगाना है तो सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम पे लगाओ। डूबेगा नहीं, जलेगा भी नहीं, कोई खा नहीं जाएगा, धोखा नहीं देगा, ऊपर नीचे भी नहीं होगा, सेफ रहेगा, सिक्योर्ड में मिनिमम 30 साल का रिटर्न देगा। अब इससे बेटर इन्वेस्टमेंट है तो बताओ। सेंचुरी प्लाई क्लब प्राइम, रहो बेफिक्र।
Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives in New Delhi later this week for the Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives in New Delhi later this week for the 23rd annual India-Russia summit. This is the first time since 2020 and global geopolitics. It also comes against the backdrop of global tensions with Trump, who's had a testy time with India when it comes to trade and tariffs. India is the only country in the world that's paying 50% tariffs. So will the test be really in this balancing act that India has to do between America and Russia? And what can India gain from Putin's big visit? I dig a little deeper. Russian President Vladimir Putin will be in New Delhi on the 4th and 5th of December for the annual India-Russia summit. This is his first visit to India since the Ukraine war began in February of 2022, after which the entire global politics around both defense and energy have changed. This meeting carries significant diplomatic and strategic weight, coming at a time when New Delhi is recalibrating its long-standing dependence on Russian military hardware. At the same time, it's also dramatically trying to reduce its energy dependence on Russia. US President Donald Trump has made no bones of the fact that he wants India to stop buying oil from Russia. He's even slapped an additional 25% secondary tariff for the same. India says the purchase of Russian oil is a sovereign economic decision and cannot be interfered with by any other third party. Over 2 days, both the Indian and Russian leaders will review cooperation across defense, nuclear energy, hydrocarbons, space, technology, and trade. A key focus area is expected to be the next generation air defense systems, including Russia's S-500 platform. The Russian S-400 was used to shield India from drone attacks by Pakistan during Operation Sindoor back in the summer. India may sign for another batch of S-400s to be procured from Russia during President Putin's visit.
Potentially S-400 additional is not ruled out, but you don't expect any announcements during this meeting. The meeting will focus on the broader elements of institutional cooperation on defense between the two sides, and we'll try to ensure that some of these delivery delays are ended and we start getting clearer answers in terms of when some of these delayed deliveries take place.
For decades, India was overwhelmingly reliant on Moscow for its military inventory, which is part of a legacy of the Cold War. There was also the fact that the Soviet Union was willing to transfer sensitive defense technologies that Western countries were hesitant to share. However, that Russian dominance has weakened in recent years. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or SIPRI, Russia supplied over 70% of India's major conventional arms through much of the 2000s and 2010s. It peaked at 89% in 2002. There was a similar surge 10 years later in 2012 when Russia supplied.
Hello, namaskar. This is First Post. You're watching Vantage.